Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Books of the Month. I'm your host, Bishop O.C. Pringle, and we have joining us via satellite is our featured author for this segment, and that is Gordon Planedin. He's there in British Columbia joining us via video. Welcome, Gordon. How are you doing today?
Not too bad.
Awesome, awesome. Listen, Gordon Planedin is the author of Solomon Levi MacKeefer, a gypsy with a very great heart. That's the title of the book. It is a very interesting title. Gordon, tell me a little bit, before we start talking about the book, tell me a little bit about you yourself.
I was going to mention that I have an author's website that actually describes me and most of my history. That it would maybe save a lot of effort if they could refer to it at their leisure.
Okay, okay. Well, Gordon, tell me, what was the inspiration for writing this book?
Well, actually, this is my third book. I wrote a book a few years earlier, and this was the name of it was An Eye for a Tooth, and I wrote that one out of frustration because I was not happy with the legal systems as it existed, because there's too many people that deserved to be put in jail or shot that weren't being put in jail or shot because of either privilege or money.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote that first book because they deserved to be shot and I couldn't shoot them legally, except I could shoot them on paper. And I did that actually for more for myself than anything else, just to feel better or whatever. I wrote that book, and I wrote that had half a dozen stories in there. Then I wrote another book a couple of years later. The name of it was A Pound of Butter, and again, it was something to do with trying to achieve justice. Uh, anyway, but as the years went by, I mellowed a bit and could see a lot of goodness in people. So I wrote the book Solomon MacKeefer, whatever else, to show the better side of the people, and also throughout the years as we got more comfortable financially, I got into charity to uh, a great deal. In 2005, I donated money to an organization in Canada that's called Plan International, and ended up I had four grandchildren, so I ended up supporting four families three in Africa and one uh, South America, uh, and I've been feeding these families in all that time. So there's four families. They just take the money out of my account and helping them, and I feel good in that there's some people getting a better life in the world through some of my efforts. Now, at this stage, I'm 88 years old. I turned 88 on February the 10th. I had open heart surgery 3 years ago, so my life expectancy isn't the greatest. Now, uh, it's common knowledge that if I drop dead, my bank account would be frozen and there would be no more money going out of there helping anybody. So I wrote this book, hopefully that if we could get it to the market and uh, start generating some revenue, in the book itself is a statement that any revenue that the book will generate will go to a charitable organization. I've formed a benevolent society and something, and all the monies would be diverted to those in need. Now um, it it's the idea that when I'm going on my way, I'll have a smile on my face because I'm leaving something behind that will still help like the needy people, whatever stuff. Other than that, also I have another important cause that I'm concerned with, and that is the fact that there's people destroying our world because of greed and lack of a willingness to share or whatever else. They're thinking only of themselves. And you hear talk on a regular basis that we're leaving a world to the next generations in worse and worse condition. See, and this bothers me. It shouldn't happen. Now, they always say that the next generation will inherit a damaged world. The one point I want to make is that they're not going to inherit it because they, as far as I'm concerned, everybody in this world, when they're born, they become owners of a part of the world. So they're always growing up as co-owners. And as co-owners, they should have the right to be involved in any decision making regarding what will be done to the world. And they should be, so my suggestion would be that they should form review committees, one for every province in Canada and one for every state in the Union. And so that because they are part owners, they should form a review committee in each one of them to review any proposals. And if it will be a detriment to the condition of the world and stuff, they should have the power to veto those decisions and stop any further damage to the world. And I think that they have the moral and the legal right to do that, and the only hope that they have to live in a better world for themselves and their descendants is if they do something about it now. Because appealing to the governing powers is too often a waste of time because there's too much money involved on the other side. Money and greed and stupidity and whatever else stuff. Where if they made any effort to change the situation, I think that they would have a lot of help worldwide because a lot of people are concerned about this problem. And they would have, if they kept on with it, this and that, they would have the peoples of the world helping them. And we would get back to the stage where we could use the power of the people to make the changes. And if they formed these review committees, they could turn around at any look into any situation that is developing, and if they're not pleased with it, they could send a committee down there to inform the environmental processes and stuff, and inform them that this is not acceptable, and we didn't want it done.
Okay, Gordon, I'm enjoying listening to you, and I know our viewing audience is likewise. But listen, we're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back, okay? Just hold that thought. Listen, don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back with more from our featured author.
No problem.
Today, the U.S. dollar is worth even more in other countries, so there's never been a better time to travel outside the USA. The dollar is worth over $1.30 in Canadian dollars, and it's the same for Australia. It's worth over $3 in Brazilian reals, and it's worth over $18 in Mexican pesos. In Argentina, it's worth over $27 in Argentine pesos. Think of the bargains you'll get, and the way to get the cheapest airfare to any destination is by calling Low Cost Airlines. So don't wait, call Low Cost Airlines now.
Okay, and we're back with more from our featured author for this segment, Gordon Planedin. He is the author of A Gypsy with a Very Great Heart. Gordon, tell me a little bit more about the gypsy. Who is this gypsy?
it's actually somebody that I have developed in my mind, but in my lifetime, I knew gypsies. When I was a child, we lived in the prairies, and gypsies actually would go through in caravans, and they'd come into our area, stay for a day or two or three, and keep moving on. And they were notorious in that they would help themselves to your chickens or the chicken's eggs or a goose or something, and move on. So we had to be careful with them. I also knew some gypsies. I wintered in Toronto for a couple of years, and worked for. Seen them in the streets there. They would be fortune tellers and this and that, whatever stuff. They're a unique group of people, but they're. I don't know. I was looking for somebody with a good heart and a good story to tell to show that even through hardship, there are people that will ignore all that and do what's best for the world.
Okay, so what did this gypsy do that was so great?
Well, he immigrated from Europe into Canada with his wife and his young child. But while he lived in Canada, his wife was attacked and sexually and this and that, and hurt to the stage where she died. Okay, but in spite of losing his wife, he still kept associated with young people and exhibited friendship with them and whatever else, and was teaching them to forgive and help each other along, whatever else stuff. He lost his daughter in an accident, and that didn't change him. He still kept on with that, and it ended up that because of a fire, he saved a few kids from being burnt in this situation and sacrificed his life for it. So his actions throughout the years made a big change in the community and made a better group of people, which is a sample, an example for others.
Okay. Okay. And so this is a fictional character, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so the core message behind this story about this gypsy with the very great heart, what is the core message? Is the core message simply there are still good people in this world, or what is the core message?
Yeah. Well, in a part of the story, when this band of gypsies was in this town, some of the kids went out to steal chickens or something, and they run across a goose, and they grabbed it by the neck to steal it, whatever else. But the dogs chased them away and whatever else stuff. But this Dr. Goose or whatever else was a pet of the lady of a thing, and when Solomon saw what the loss of that bird had done to this poor girl, it changed his whole attitude of taking advantage of people, and that's where he became a much better person.
Okay. Now, you haven't received any backlash from the gypsy community behind this story, have you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. 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 And so, this book, are you? Who have you been sharing it with? Who's your main audience? Would you say?
I haven't actually managed to start marketing it properly, but this review is one of the efforts to try and bring it more into the market, so we could sell more and generate more revenues for those that are in need. And it's like in the I refer to these committee the next generations, whatever else and stuff, that in the postscript at the bottom of a page, there's a paragraph referring to the fact that if there's any hope for us saving the world and or making changes, our best prospects are the younger people, the ones that still haven't been corrupted by greed and a lack of compassion. So that if we can get the young people with a good heart, while they're still there thinking like people, there's a chance that we can make some major changes for everybody's benefit. Because the people, they turn around, they're sending spaceships to different parts to look for different planets and stuff. What they haven't been able to find anything at all to replace the world that we live in. You know, so what we have, we better look after it the best way we can, because the way it's going now, it won't be too long. We'll have no worlds to live in.
If we continue going this route, you're absolutely right. So it's good to have a good example in the world to show people what it looks like to have a good heart, most definitely.
Yeah, there's even a quote on the back page of the book. It says that I like. It says, and this is, I'm sure, taken from the Bible. And it says, "And as ye shall do unto the least of my brethren, likewise shall I do unto you."
That's what the Bible says.
Yeah, and this is something that should be a guiding light for everybody.
That is so true. That is so true. Because seemingly love is just not present any longer. Everyone is basically doing what they're wanting to do for their own personal good and not caring about the others. So even though gypsies might have been known to, I guess, as you state, come around and steal from your land, what have you, basically trying to survive. But God can take anyone and turn their lives around and cause them to be loving and caring. Would you say?
That's right. Yeah, no, that's right. That's the only hope we have. It's like to say that they could, well, you know, before they get too grown up, what about the stuff? It's like these review committees should be of people under the voting age. You know, and they could get the committees, and they could form large committees, because they could get all the kids, you know, from 8, 10, 12, 15 years old, 20 years old, throwing a couple of bucks a piece into a fund, you know, picked 20 or 40 or 50 of the cream of their society to be a working review committee. There's so much potential that they could do, and if they went peacefully and started doing things, cutting down some of the damages that is being done, whatever stuff, I think that all of the society and a lot of people would have support them wholeheartedly, because if everybody knows that if we don't do something drastic very soon, there's going to be nothing much left to save. So
that is, I would agree with that. I would agree with that, especially with the recent scare that's taking place all over the world. I would agree with that. It's time for the people to come together. Do you think is ever going to happen?
Well, if it doesn't happen soon, it won't matter.
Why do you say that?
Well, the way that they're going now, the different nations of the world, they turn around. Anytime they have a new development, it's to build better planes, better tanks, better whatever, better bombs and stuff. everything toward destruction. And it's common knowledge that years ago there was
Gordon, I want you to hold that thought. I'll be right back. We gotta hear from our sponsors right quick. This is a very good point that you're about to make. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more from Gordon Planedin. Just hold right there.
Attention! Have you been diagnosed with asbestos, lung cancer, or mesothelioma? Were you a worker in a shipyard, or a railroad worker, a pipe fitter, or a worker in the oil and gas industry, worked in construction, or a Navy vet? If you worked in any of these professions, were exposed to asbestos, and now have lung cancer or mesothelioma, you may be entitled to compensation.
Call 1-855-384-6238. That's 1-855-384-6238.
Okay, thank you for sticking there with us. We're back with more from Gordon Planedin. Gordon, we were talking about will the world get better? What were you saying just before going to break? Do you believe the world is going to get better?
Well, there's a grave danger. Years ago, between the Russians and whatever else, there was a talk of getting rid of all our nuclear weapons, dismantling them, and so that this danger wouldn't be there. They didn't do it. They started a bit and didn't do it, whatever else and stuff. Everybody has too many deadly weapons. All it takes is one mistake, and one weapon gets launched, and then somebody will respond to it, whatever else and stuff. And once they start sending a few of them around, you might as well dig a hole in the ground, crawl into it and bury it, cover ourselves with it, because there will be no more living, no people anyway. There'll be a few ants and worms in the ground, whatever else and stuff. And this is because of the attitudes of the people. And the States with Trump is one of the worst now. He's talking of keeping the Koreans from the nuclear weapons and this and that and whatever else and stuff. Mm-hmm. But they have, like all of the nations in the world years ago, gave Israel a bunch of nuclear weapons as a deterrent to get this and that, whatever else. There's all kinds of stupid bullshit going on and whatever else and stuff that one of these days when somebody will make a stupid mistake and we're in trouble. So actually I'm hoping that if this book sells a bit, it might try to influence people toward the good instead of just getting as much as you can or whatever else. Trump, as it is now, well, hopefully if we get a replacement, they're going to be a concern toward the environment, toward the environment and the people and the benefit of the people and whatever stuff. Instead of, they're all concerned that we should spend more money on armaments, on better guns, better planes, better ships, better bombs. And we already have too many of them.
Okay.
Like I say, on the personal part of it, I'm hoping that this book will sell so I can, when I'm dying, I'll be dying with the knowledge that not all of me is going to be dead. There's going to be a little bit of money trickling in because of my efforts. There's so many people I watch. I'm in Canada, but I watch CNN most of the time. Mm-hmm. You've seen St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
I do also.
In Canada, we have the BC Children's Hospital, and these are all that they do. The people in the greatest need go there, and it costs them nothing, and they help them. I've been sending money here and there to them once in a while, but I can only send a limited amount. But we're trying to generate some way that if I could die knowing that there's going to be a little steady flow coming in for the next 10 or 20 years or 50 years, I would die with a smile on my face. I told my wife, I said, put a pint of whiskey in my vest pocket for the road and goodbye.
How long have you been married, Gordon?
4 years.
Woo! Did you say 60?
64 years.
Well, God bless your heart.
She's in a care home now, and I go visit her every day.
Beautiful.
When we got married, well, if you read my thing with my author thing with about the, when we got married, we were living in a one-room rental in Vancouver. It had a bed, a two-burner hot plate, a table with chairs, and it had bathroom facilities in the hallway outside shared. When we got married, I brought a minister into our room to marry us. When he finished, I gave him $5, and I still had $6 left.
Wow.
Champagne, and we drank it, and that was my wedding, my honeymoon, and everything else. That was 64 years ago. I got my money's worth.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? So listen, right quick, because we're approaching the end of the interview. Where can we find the book right quick again? Where can we find it?
What the hell's the name? Westwood Publishing, whatever. They were supposed to have provided you with a hard copy of it.
No. Individuals, I'm talking about our viewing audience. Where can they order your book from?
Well, they'd have to get a hold of Westwood Books. Goldie in my ears would because their support of Goldie is they'll print the book for under $2. So that the rest, is if we can market it cheaply, there'll be that much more revenues for the needy.
Okay. Well, listen, I wish you all the best with your book. It's a very interesting piece of work, and I'm sure you're extremely proud of it, and continue to share it with as many people as you possibly can. And again, I wish you the best. Thank you for joining us today, Gordon. And those of you out there that's been watching, thank you for tuning in once again. I'm your host, Bishop O.C. Pringle. I've enjoyed being here today. Listen, see you next week, same time, same place. Take care. Be blessed.